Hey people, D-Man here, and today I am reviewing Dying Light 2. I just recently finished it. I have put like a lot of hours into it, like probably like 50, 60 hours into it. I played it on PC, by the way, just in case you're wondering. I played it on PC, so I don't know how the game was on consoles, but I played it on PC. And I gotta say, it was a fairly good game with a lot of problems in my personal opinion, but a fairly good game nonetheless. So let's start off. Let's just start off with things, and we'll talk about the good things and the bad things, obviously. And if some of the good things and bad things correlate, we'll talk about it at the same time. So let's just start off with the graphics. So the graphics of the game were really good. They were definitely better than the first game. They still reminded me of the first game, obviously. But they were pretty good nonetheless. They're definitely better than the first game. But they're not like the best graphics out to date. You know, they're not gonna beat some games out now that have like really good graphics. But they're still good graphics nonetheless. It's still enjoyable and it's still a nice visual experience. Of course, there was some graphical glitches here and there. I did experience some pop-ins every once in a while. I did experience, and I think they fixed a lot of this stuff, by the way, when they put patch notes in. Well, when they patched it, not patch notes, but when they patched this game, a lot of this stuff got fixed, but some of it obviously didn't. But I saw like a lot of jitteriness, especially the farther I got away from things. If they were moving things, they started to jitter, like they started to shake a little bit. It was kind of weird. Most of that stuff though is kind of stopped now, and it's kind of all fixed. And also, some items floated in the air. Some pickable items floated in the air. Not to mention some items you couldn't even touch or pick up or anything like that because they were placed oddly on the map or something, and I just could not figure out how to pick them up, no matter which way I tried. So those are some bugs, but nothing game breaking in the graphics department. Obviously, there was something that was game breaking, but we'll get into that a little bit later. Anyways, so those are some bugs that happened, but I think most of them are fixed by now. So let's talk about gameplay. So, what was like? How was the gameplay? Was it good? Was it bad? It reminded me so much of Dying Light 1, and it was really, really good, really, really fun. But they did take away some key gameplay elements from the first one that I kind of missed, like the grapple hook. It definitely is not as good as the first one. The first one was kind of really broken, and it could get you into pretty much anywhere, even places that you're not supposed to get to. And plus, you get it by leveling up. So you level up a lot, and then you get the grapple hook, and it's really good. This grapple hook, it's pretty cool. It's pretty good, but it's more like a swinging grappling hook. You hit something, then you swing on it. You can't even really climb with it, which doesn't really make sense in my opinion, but whatever, I guess. So yeah, this grappling hook, it's okay, but it could be better. Maybe not as broken as the first grappling hook, but it still could have been better. um, let's see what else. There's no more sliding kick, at least not to my knowledge. I did get all the sliding perks. I didn't see a sliding kick, so that's the thing that's not there anymore. Um, there's just stuff like that that doesn't exist anymore. It's kind of sad. And plus, this is me personally. I don't know about everybody else, but this is me personally. The jumping drop kick did not work for me at all. It worked for me like a couple times, but most of the time when I tried it, it just did not work. It just was not working at all, and it was kind of annoying. Because the jumping drop kick and the sliding kick are probably some of the funnest things to use, but they didn't have a sliding kick in the first place. But the jumping drop kick just did not work for me personally. It worked a few times, but most of the time it didn't work. So it was kind of annoying. What else in the gameplay that was okay, and that like some things were okay, some things were okay. Some of the things from the trailer did not exist. Sorry about that little cut there, but as I was saying, some of the things in the trailer just do not exist in this game. Like, one of the trailers showed you jumping off a rope or something like that and landing on a billboard that you stab with a knife and you slide down. That does not exist in this game, at least not to my knowledge, because there's a lot of branching paths, so maybe it's a cutscene. But to my knowledge, it does not exist in the actual gameplay. So that's something. Uh, let's see. Anything else that was kind of annoying about the gameplay, kind of good about the gameplay? It has the same charm as the original. Like, you can jump off of tall things, land on cars, water, garbage, mattresses, and live for some reason. It had a little bit of annoyance with the upgrading system where you had to get three upgrade vials, I guess what they're called, or whatever the hell they're called. And then you inject yourself, and then you can upgrade yourself. And for some reason, your upgrades, your health and stamina are separate, which I found kind of a little bit annoying. And also the fact that you have to have 300 health to get all the fighting moves, all the fighting upgrades, and you have to have 300 stamina to get all the movement upgrades. You would think you'd only need stamina because it's like, why do you need health to fight? I don't know. But you do need health. So that's something I found a little bit weird, a little bit annoying that they kind of put that blockade there. But other than that, it's a pretty good system. It works. You can run around. You can do all that stuff. There was a few times where the camera angles kind of got a little bit weird. And I did say some of the movements just didn't work for me, like the jump kick. But for the most part, it was okay. It was okay. It reminded me of the first one, but the first one did have some better features. And this one doesn't have those features. So yeah, I would say the gameplay was okay. And then there's some gameplay about how to get the upgrade needles, whatever you want to call them. Forgot the name. There's some gameplay of how to get those, and there's only 4 ways on how to get these. And I gotta say, I enjoyed it at first, but then it got really tedious and boring. So there's 4 ways on how to get these. The first way is to go to these places at nighttime. You can go there in the daytime. You'll probably get killed, though, because there's volatiles there in the daytime. But you go there at nighttime, and you go into these places that are like hospitals and stuff, full of infected. And depending on your level, you can actually just kind of tear through them and just kill everything if you're high enough level. But if you're low enough level, you just kind of sneak through, and you kind of just sneak through and get all these vials. There's usually 4 to a building. And then you get out and you get all those vials and you upgrade yourself. And it works pretty well. But it gets tedious after like the 3rd, 4th one. And they're like on each map. So there's like 2 separate maps almost. And they're on each of them. And it's kind of annoying. Very annoying, actually. Just to redo these things with slightly different interiors. It kind of got like really annoying, really boring. So after a certain point of getting my upgrades, I kind of just stopped. I stopped at about 300 health and 400 stamina, because that's like the max level you need to unlock everything. Because some of the things that you need to like climb and stuff need about 400 stamina, and other things, and the upgrades need 300 health and 300 stamina. So at that point, it's kind of useless to go after them again, but you should still get them. The second way is to go fight this infected at nighttime, where you have to go into this little area and he fights you, and he's a pain in the ass. He's basically like this tall looking infected with roots growing out of his back. But it's a good system because no outside infected coming, so you don't have to deal with a bunch of infected coming after you like when you're fighting this guy. You only have to deal with him and the infected that he brings back to life. And then after you fight him, you get to pick his corpse and you get to get your reward, and that's it. And that one was fun for like the first 3 times, maybe, and then it got kind of boring after a while, and I kind of stopped liking it. Like it's a good system, but have some variety. I'm just saying, have some variety, because it got really boring after a while. And by the way, he jumps around like a goddamn monkey. He's crazy. And there was one glitch I had with him, by the way, where I had to redo the whole thing, where he just disappeared one time. I was fighting him, and then he just disappeared, and I never got my vial, and then I had to come back the next night to fight him again, because he did a Houdini, and he disappeared. And it was very annoying, and very, just annoying. And also, one time he jumped outside of the map area that he's supposed to be in, but I got him back in the map area he's supposed to be in. So that time kind of worked out. All the other times worked out, but there was one time where he just disappeared. And I'm hoping that they fix that one of the patches. But there's one time he just disappeared. It was just really annoying. So yeah, those are 2 of the ways to get the upgrades. The other 2 ways are to randomly find them in buildings and sometimes even in the water. Just randomly, you'll be walking and all of a sudden it's like, hey, this thing, like, you're close to this thing, and you'll go looking for it and you'll find it. You'll be like, oh, it's in this random building or this this random water. It's just in the water. So that's pretty interesting. Like, that was probably the most interesting way to get it, was just find it randomly. And then there was the times when you do missions, and after you complete missions, you get these vials. There was one side mission that you got one. There's a few main missions where you got them. So there's also that, which is the easier way to get it, I guess. Other than that, the gameplay, was it good? Yes, it was. Was it the best? Obviously not. It had the original one had some good gameplay. It had some better attributes, I should say. And also, there was a few times where there was some glitches. As I said, like, the guy disappeared. And there was a few times where I got snagged a lot. I got snagged a lot in this game. Like, on the stupidest of things. Like, I got snagged on, like a corner of a table. And I got snagged, like, on a rock, it seemed. It was just kind of weird, where I was trying to walk. And then all of a sudden I got snagged on something. I'm like, what the hell am I stuck on? And I had to, like, jiggle my character just to get him out. It's kind of weird, kind of stupid. But I got snagged a lot of times on a lot of things that shouldn't have got me snagged, but they did somehow. I don't know. It just stopped me in my tracks. I'm just like, why aren't I moving? Why aren't I moving? Then I have to back out, and I'm like, oh, it's a chair leg. Chair leg stopped me from moving. So that was a little bit of a glitch, I think, there as well. There was, like, a lot of snagging issues. Other than that, gameplay, fairly good. Now, let's see. We talked about the graphics. We talked about the gameplay. Let's talk about the voice acting. The voice acting is very good, actually. It's nice amount of voice acting. Although there was one thing that annoyed me about it, and there was also one glitch that I came into contact with the voice acting, but only one time. So the glitch was, I was on a mission, and I died halfway through the mission as they were telling me the mission, and then when I got revived, it skipped, like, a sizable chunk of what they were telling me, so I had to kind of figure out what I was doing on the mission, because they just, like, it skipped their words when they were trying to tell me, so that was a little bit of a glitch where it just kind of skipped that whole line of dialogue, and I had to kind of figure out what I was doing by myself. So that was a little bit annoying. That was just like a little glitch though. And then the thing that annoys me about the voice acting the most isn't the fact that the voice actors are bad or anything, because they're good, but it's the fact that it repeats itself so much. I get there's budget concerns and all that, but I don't know, man. I feel like they could have done a little bit better, a little bit different things, because it repeats itself so much. Like the bad guys repeat themselves. The bad NPCs repeat themselves, and the NPCs repeat themselves as well. Like you'll be in one settlement and they'll be like, "Hey, I don't trust that guy yet," and then you go into the next settlement and they'll be like, "Hey, I don't trust that guy yet," and it'll be the exact same guy. And it's just like, are you stalking me, guy, or is it just the voice acting, the budget concerns, obviously? And then some people will praise you, and then they'll praise you exactly the same at another output. So, outpost. So yeah, that's a thing as well. So that was a little bit annoying. Those two things were the most annoying about the voice acting, but still pretty good. And I forgot to mention one thing when I was talking about gameplay, and that is the fighting and the enemies. I gotta say, the enemies were pretty good. The volatiles are just as dangerous no matter what level they are, and I think it goes up to level 6, like 1 to 6. And the higher level you are, you can take out these things, obviously. I was able to take on some volatiles and kill them and get their stuff, but man, they're still strong. They can still like hit you about 3 times and you're out, depending on how high your health is, because they're strong as hell. Very strong, very annoying. But most of the zombies were pretty easy to deal with the higher levels you got. Although some of the zombies, when they got higher levels, they were kind of annoying to deal with, but still easy enough to deal with. Now, the people enemies, definitely 100% better than the original game. In the original game, the people enemies were worse than the volatiles almost. The volatiles were relentless, they chased you down, and they killed you, but the people enemies, they were the hardest things to kill. They were like bullet sponges, they were tanks. You just couldn't kill them very often because they were just super, super strong, and it was super, super annoying to kill them. But in this, it's actually easier. It's actually more realistic. There is like higher ranked enemies, obviously, and enemies with bigger armor and such and stuff like that. But man, is it a lot easier to kill these enemies than it isn't. Because like in the first game, it was just super hard to kill human enemies, but in this game, ooh man, some of them just you can cut them in half like butter. So I really enjoyed that. That was one of the things that the first game did horribly wrong, was the human enemies. But in this game, they fixed it 100%. They might have made a few of them a little bit too strong, but they still fixed it pretty well. But yeah, that's those things covered. So the graphics, voice acting, gameplay, those things are covered. They're pretty good. They're all in all pretty good. So now let's talk about the story. The story is okay. And there's a lot of branching off segments that I didn't even know existed because I didn't play them, because I only played My Pacific Story. Although I did look up all the endings at the end there because I didn't want to replay it a bunch of times. Because I'll be honest, I did get a little bit bored at the end there. Because the story, it was a lot of fetch quests and a lot of rescue quests. The main story and also the sideline stories, the side quest. A lot of these things were fetch quests or rescue quests. Luckily, no, at least to my knowledge, no like escort quest. So at least to my knowledge, there's none of those. But a lot of them were fetch quests and rescue quests. That was the vast majority of quests, and it kind of got boring, to be honest. At a certain point, like halfway through the game, I kind of got really bored of just being like told like, hey, this is over here, this is over here, this is over here. Like, go get it for me. And it's like, oh, sure thing. I'll go get this random thing that I was in this area, and you could have told me when I was there, but nah, I gotta get it now. So yeah, it was very annoying just to do like a bunch of fetch quests and to rescue a bunch of people. It just got annoying. It got annoying. So that was one of the gameplay. That was one of the story elements that I really disliked. It got annoying. It got boring quick. And then the second half happened, and it was still a problem. That's a big problem of this game. Is the whole fetch quest and the whole save quest. Those are like the two main quests. So very annoying. um, but the plot line was okay. There's obviously some parts I did not see and I did miss, but the plot line I got was it was good. It was a little bit predictable here and there, but it was still pretty good nonetheless. uh, I would say it was interesting, and the ending was pretty good as well. Like, the ending was really good. Like, there's these parts where you turn into this monster and you get to kill everybody, and it's like the awesomest part ever. I gotta say, like 100%, it's amazing. It's like the funnest part of the whole game, to be honest. Turning into the monster is the funnest part of the whole game, and I really wish there's more times where you did it, and there's more people to fight. Because man, when you're in that monster form, you can kill everything. Volatiles, just people, everything. You just mow them all down because you're awesome. And then when you want that form to come in at the last second, it never does. It only comes in when the game wants it to, so it kind of sucks, but it's still the awesome form. Nonetheless, the storyline was pretty good. Although the end boss fight, I gotta say, the end boss fight between you and William or whatever hell's name is, was annoying. It was annoying. It was like 3-part boss fight, and the first part is he's using this chi punch to ground move over and over and over again, and you kind of have to kill him around it. Oh yeah, and if you use any explosives, infection will come, but only after you because he is, I guess, infected. I don't know. So it gets really annoying until that end fight where you both turn into monsters and you both fight, and you kick his ass so easily. But man, it's so cool. It's such a cool feature. Like, that was the best feature. I wish you could turn into that will. That'd be awesome. I really want them to have a game like that, where like you can turn into that creature at will and just start fucking things up. Cause that was awesome. It was awesome. But yeah, all in all, the gameplay was pretty good. And there's like 3 factions, and I only got 2 factions because the third one just kind of was there, and I never really even knew it was there. So the first, at least this is why I think there's only 3 factions. There might be more, but the first faction is like the people faction. And at the end of the game, if you use that faction, basically everybody works together and they survive together, but there's a lot more infected still. And then there's the second faction, which is the Peacekeepers. And if you go with that faction, they are very fascist and dictator-like, and they will kill you for the most simplest of crimes. It is very fucked up. Like, you do a little thing wrong and they will murder you and your whole entire family. It's not the faction you want to go with. But I guess you could say there's more security because less zombies around. Less zombies. And then the third faction is this faction I never even thought was a faction because I never even got into their storyline. Is the faction of like these, like the thugs almost, I guess. I don't know what you would call them, but they're pretty much thugs and they do thuggish things. And when you get that faction, there's also less zombies, but there's a lot more protests and a lot more riots, and a lot more people die because of other people. So yeah, those are the two factions, and I gotta say, man, the people is the one that you want to go with if you want actual true freedom, but it's a little bit dangerous. The other two are kind of just like, holy shit. So all in all, the game was pretty good. The story was pretty good, except for all the fetch quests and the save quests. They got kind of annoying at the end and kind of boring until you got to the good stuff where you actually did good things in the game. Other than that, pretty good game, nonetheless. I did enjoy it. Was it worth its money? I guess so. I did play it for quite a long time, and I did have enjoyment out of it. Although I wish it had some things in there that it doesn't have in there, and hopefully, if there's DLC, it's will improve on the things that it needs to improve on, and get rid of the things that it needs to get rid of. And hopefully, you get to turn into a monster. I'm just saying, I want to turn into a monster over and over again. Like a werewolf situation almost. That'd be pretty cool. Because that monster form is badass. But yeah, all in all, pretty good. That's about it. That's my review. It's pretty good. If I were to rate it like 1 to 10, 1 being garbage, 5 being average, 10 being this like god tier game, I would rate this like a 6, 7 maybe, if I'm being generous. It's definitely not god tier, but it's definitely not bad. But it's almost average, but it's a little bit above average maybe. So yeah, that's my rating. I rate it a 6 to 7, depending on your opinion, I guess. So yeah, all in all, I enjoyed it, but it could have been better, and I wish it was better. And if there's a third game, if a third game ever comes out, and before I forget, sorry about the little cut there, but before I forget and before I end this, there are two more things we gotta talk about. First is the game-breaking glitch I experienced, and second is the choice system. Okay, so I told you about a lot of the glitches I had, right? Visual glitches, some graphical glitches. I also had a glitch where the cutscenes would kind of mess up sometimes, and like it would teleport me to a random place and put me back in the cutscene, which was kind of weird. Just some cutscene random glitches here and there as well. And plus the one guy who got away, that glitch as well. So there's a few glitches in this game that I think they got most of them fixed, but there's a few glitches in this game. Now there is one glitch that was a game-breaking glitch, and luckily I was able to fix it by just turning it off and turning it back on. So at one part in the story, at least in my story, we go to this guy. He runs the dam. I forgot his name. He's basically one of the evil guys, the Butcher. That's his name, or one of his names. And he basically tells us, like, hey man, if you kill me, you can't stop the other evil guy from bombing the city. So I kind of like agree with him, and we go to stop the other guy from bombing the city. So we go to stop him, and during this whole scene where I'm trying to get to his, where I'm trying to get like out of there and trying to like complete this mission, you have to go to an elevator, and this elevator takes you down to where you need to go. Now I get to this elevator, and I clicked it, and I did everything it was supposed to do, and the elevator was completely broken. To the point where I ran around doing whatever I could just to try to fix this thing. I didn't know what I was doing. I kept on trying everything and anything, and the elevator was completely broken, and it would not work. So what I did was I went up and I killed myself, and then I went back to the elevator to see if it would work again, and it was just broken. So what I had to do was turn off the game and turn it back on, and then luckily the elevator worked that time. So that elevator thing was just broken for me. I don't know why, but it was. And it was a game breaking glitch, but luckily it just took me turn it on, turn it back on, turn it off, and turn it back on. So luckily it was very easy to fix. Now, the choice system. The choice system is the last thing we gotta talk about. And I gotta say, the choice system was kind of garbage. It was kind of absolute garbage. A lot of it should have just been dialogue, but whatever, I guess. So a lot of the choices don't actually matter that much at all. Like a lot of it is just like you have one yellow sentence that moves on the quest. And then you have a bunch of white sentences that just give you extra story dialogue. And usually you only have one sentence to move on the quest, and others just move on the story dialogue. Okay, so it's kind of annoying, kind of stupid. It does give you some story dialogue, but the whole thing about like just having one sentence that moves on the quest is just like, really, you're supposed to be better than this, I guess. um, so it's kind of dumb, and then there's a few choices that kind of matter that don't really matter at all. Like there's a few ones where you can choose to be truthful or lie. There's a few ones where you can choose to be like an asshole or just being like nice. Those don't really matter at all. And then there's the few ones that you actually get to choose between two different outcomes. Uh, and they can change the story. They can change the story. Sometimes drastically, sometimes not drastically. It's kind of confusing, kind of weird. Like if you choose this outcome, this will happen. If you choose this will happen. And at some point, you don't even know where you went wrong if you want to do something separately. Not to mention, you can't redo missions if you ever messed up and wanted to redo it. And you don't have the saving capability to save it for yourself and then go back into an old save file, which I do not like, not being able to redo missions or being able to save at a certain point where I can go back to it. It just doesn't allow you to do that in this game, so that's something. So you have to stick with that decision unless you want to replay the game completely, which is stupid. But anyways, yeah, the decisions, some of them do matter, but most of them do not matter. Most of them are just stupid. But some of them do matter, and some of them will change the outcome completely, and it's kind of confusing about what it will change and how it will change. And then when it changes, sometimes it's just really weird. Like the first time I noticed this was I was with the good guys, the normal people against the what do you call them? The blue guys. I forgot their names. Peacekeepers, right? And I was trying to like do both sides, and then at one point, it's like, okay, you're with these guys, not the Peacekeepers. And I was like, when the hell did I make that decision? I was like, why can't I talk to the Peacekeepers anymore? They're like, oh, it's because you did this. I don't even know what I did to make that happen, but whatever, I guess. So yeah, it's a little bit confusing. And if you make the wrong choice, you'll get like this totally different thing. Even if it's something that you don't want to do, you'll be like, what the hell just happened? I am very confused. So yeah, the choice system is a little bit weird, a little bit messy, and it could be done better. It could be done better for sure, and there could be more choices in there for sure as well that actually matter. And it could be definitely explained better because some of it was just like, what the hell? What did I do to get this outcome? Like, I don't even understand what the hell happened. But yeah. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed this. If you did, like, comment, subscribe, and share. Hit that bell notification. That's the best way to keep my channel. Link down below to my Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. And as always, our friends, stay sane. Peace. Just remind you to subscribe, hit that bell, like, comment, and share this video. Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok down below. Shadow, my baby, I love you so much. You're my baby. And you love to sleep in the bathtub. Because you're a weirdo. Shadow, look over here, buddy. Look over here.